This review is for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which I saw in the Wales Millennium Centre. I saw the show on opening night and I must say it was amazing. It opened with a windmill scene and it had like a sort of short film projected onto the windmill, and this looked amazing. It automatically got you into the nostalgic feeling of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and for anyone who used to watch the film as a kid or as an adult or whatever, it gave you that initial nostalgic feeling of this is a good show, this show is my childhood, and just stupid little feelings like that, but that make you feel very happy and childlike again. There was definitely a panto sort of vibe, kind of a slapstick comedy concept between the spies played by Sam Harrison and Scott Page. This gave such a level of comedy to the show, and it was amazing. It was just light and funny and a little bit stupid, and it just made you laugh a bit, and it gave that childlike element into it and that childlike feeling of just giggling and being like silly. There were like mild innuendos throughout the show, like every now and then, which are comedic to both audiences because the children found it funny in an innocent manner, and then obviously the older generations who understood the kind of back concept to the jokes also found it funny in that concept, and it just added that sort of mixed variety where one show can appeal to a larger variety of audiences basically. The show had a sense of magic, obviously with the car it's going to, but besides that, just the set and how it was laid out. For example, with Potts' workshop, the simple elements of machinery and technology in his workshop were one of the elements that did play to making the show feel magical, other than the car, as I've said. You had the little dog, which was like a robot dog going around, and it was just rolling about, probably like remote control or something, but I don't know, it just gave a sense of, like I've said, magic. The first big number that they did was Toot Sweets, and it came together so well and set the bar so high for the rest of the show. And it did give me chills, which probably sounds stupid, you know, just a song about sweets. But the song set an atmosphere and you just wanted more. Also with Meal Bamboo, when that was done, it was very fun and imaginative, and also Lee Mead participated in a tap dance routine, which was relatively difficult for someone who doesn't have a dancing background, but it really, like, I was shocked at how good his dance ability was, because I know that he doesn't have the background of dancing, so it was quite impressive to see, and he did keep up really well, and I was shocked at it. Obviously, the star of the show, Chitty the car, she definitely held a really good likeness to the one from the film, and definitely looked magical with the wings and how it just all come together and how it flew. The one element I was a little bit disappointed at was that you could see the arm of the car, which obviously they can't avoid. It's a travelling show, they can't predict what the stage is going to be like, so they obviously have to choose an element of movement that is able to be transported from show to show. So although you can see the arm, which again is a little bit disappointing, it's not too visible. It's hidden some points, like by smoke machines and stuff. It's more so when the car's flying that you can see the mechanics of it. And although that is a little bit disappointing, I don't think that little kids watching the show would see it, and the magic would still be real for them and they would think the car was flying, because obviously as adults we know the car's not actually flying, and I guess we kind of look for what's making it fly, so it's a bit more obvious. When the main song, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, was sung, it was beautiful and it just sent flashbacks and childhood memories, and you almost felt like a child again just watching the film for the first time. Now I know that I obviously keep referring back to the film, and that's because this is based on either the film or the book. I'm not 100% sure, but I've not personally read the books. I hold my hands up to that. But I know I've seen the film, so that's what I'm referring it to because that's what I know of it. So basically, the song, it threw you back into when you were watching the film and the song was on, and you'd probably be singing along at the telly with your family, and just a fun, childish, simple element that added to the atmosphere and the aura of the show. Then, of course, you've got Hush by Mountain, which is such a beautiful song. It was performed stunningly, and Lee Mead's voice and Carrie's voice matched really well together. It was just beautiful, it was calming, and nearly fell asleep because it's a lullaby, you know. It was just so peaceful. Carrie Hope Fletcher also had a solo when she sang Doll on a music box, and she performed it so effortlessly. Her high notes were so chilling in such a calming and beautiful manner. It really allowed her to showcase her vocal skills, and it was amazing. I again had chills. I had chills throughout most of the show. It was amazing. During the same number, Doll on the Music Box, you could also see the acting ability really shine through, because obviously this is one of the moments where you can really start to see the connection between Potts and Truly. Both Lee Mead and Carrie Fletcher really brought this to life, and they showed that aspect of love on the stage, and they had a real connection. You could almost feel it, and it just shows how good their acting ability is, and that was again amazing. Now obviously this is a live show and mishaps do happen. For example, the show I saw, one of the props fell, but it was covered with such professionalism that it almost looked to be part of the show, and it fit quite well with the slapstick comedy aspect of it, and it was barely noticeable because they covered it so well. There's also slight microphone issues with Lee Mead's mic, where it started to cut out a little bit, but it was covered well with the theme, and it just gave sort of a technological aspect the way it was cutting out, and I don't know, it was a little bit noticeable, but it worked, and they got through it really well, and again with such professionalism that it is highly respectable. Now with Lee Mead, obviously I do know that he has the West End background, and that is one of the things he is very proud of. But personally, I've never seen him in his West End. I've only ever seen him with his acting skills in Casualty as Lofty. And being able to see him portray a new and totally different character to what I've only ever seen him act as, it really showed his talent. And it did surprise me seeing him as a new character, because obviously I've not seen him play any other characters, but I was highly impressed at how well he portrayed the character of Potts. Although obviously the show is based a lot around the car Chitty, it also portrayed a bit more of the family aspect. They showed a lot more into Potts and his children's relationship, and how he's just a single father and looking for love. And yeah, it really got the heartstrings going with that one. Obviously this connection was very real and raw, and I'm sure that any single parents watching, or even parents who aren't single and that's still together or whatever, I'm sure they could feel the connection there, and just that family aspect itself is very special to be able to show on a stage with a play that is about a car, and to be able to showcase both elements so well and so seamlessly, it's highly respectable. So one of the last points I'm going to make about the show is the child catcher. He was wonderfully creepy, and his acting was so good. The character was played by Matt Gillett, and one thing I would say, perhaps they could have written in more lines or more involvement from the child catcher, is I feel like he could have been aged a little bit more. I feel like they could have perhaps written in a few more lines or a bit more involvement of the child catcher in the scenes that he was involved in, because I felt like his stage time wasn't sufficient to the character role, as the child catcher I feel is quite a big element of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I don't know, I just feel like he could have been involved a little bit more, but that's okay. He was still extremely creepy, you could still see how good his acting was, and also the makeup was amazing, it was flawless. I also hold a great deal of respect for the children who played Jeremy and Jemima. They were so good and professional, and they remembered their lines so well, and obviously they were quite a big involvement in the play, and that is a lot of pressure for any actor, let alone a young actor. They were able to portray the characters so well, so flawlessly, and they didn't forget any of their lines, I don't think, or if they did, it definitely was not noticeable. And the pressure they must have been under to do this show must have been immense, and they did it so well and so professional that their actual acting ability and professionalism, again I'm using that word a lot because this was such a professional show, but anyways, so their professionalism and their acting ability is highly comparable to that of much more experienced and much older actors, and I honestly think that they're going to go very far if they continue on like that. It was amazing. Two other big actors in the show were Claire Sweeney and Sean Williamson, and their acting was hilarious, and it was so good and simple, and the little accents just made it so funny because they played the Baron and Baroness, and also Sean Williamson did the role of Shruli's father, and it was just so funny. The whole show was amazing. It was funny, it was magical, it was fun, it was childlike, it was nostalgic, and there's just so much that's going for the show. And I know this is a very big rating, but this was such a good show, and it's the best show I've seen yet, and it just brought back so many feelings, and like I said, I had chills throughout the whole show, and I'm certain that this show deserves 5 stars because it was just, I can't compliment it enough. The show was just so good, and the acting, the lights, the set design was amazing, and the sound effects, the music, the singing, it all added together to make such a beautiful, reminiscent show that you will definitely not want to miss.